Do you think there's any relationship between what's happening in New Brunswick now and what was said in the speech on the throne yesterday?
Oh, it clearly is on every level. So first of all, the timing. 200 RCMP officers are sent in with snipers the day after the speech from the throne is given.
We must seize this moment. Now more than ever, our future prosperity depends on responsible development of these resources.
We will go farther and we must go faster.
Hi there, I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
You're tuned into Video Radio, right here at Radio Free Canada in palatial Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. We're starting to talk about a little incident in New Brunswick, where the martial law came down with the boot heel on the throats of the people.
Absolutely.
So let's run the clips. Stay tuned. We're talking about fracking right here.
Demonstrators have blockaded this route for nearly 3 weeks, angry over shale gas exploration or fracking. They worry the chemicals used for fracking will contaminate their drinking water. RCMP formed a line and started to move people out of the way. They pepper sprayed some protesters and fired several rounds of what they call non-lethal bullets.
Oh shit! Oh shit! They shot at the women and the elders and.
Hey, can you don't point it at my mom?
Do you think there's any relationship between what's happening in New Brunswick now and what was said in the speech on the throne yesterday?
Oh, it clearly is on every level. So first of all, the timing. 200 RCMP officers are sent in with snipers the day after the speech from the throne is given.
We must seize this moment. Now more than ever, our future prosperity depends on responsible development of these resources.
We will go farther and we must go faster.
No consultation with First Nations, no consent.
My view is that you don't take no for an answer.
And our treaties, unlike other treaties, did not cede any lands. All of those lands and resources still belong to the Mi'kmaq.
We're here to seize the moment before us, Canada's moment, and we will.
Police say it was time to move in, and they arrested 40 people.
Underground now! Underground! Don't fucking move.
Let her sit up now. I have knee on her neck. Let her sit up.
Okay, within the clips and a lot of the major media that you're talking about, you're going to see that some cop cars got lit on fire.
Gee, kind of reminds me of what happened to the G20.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what happened in Vancouver. Once again, the cops proved that they do not know how to run a fire extinguisher.
And maybe the agent provocateurs that are rumored to have been there let things get a little out of hand.
If you take a look at Idle No More Ontario and Idle No More National, you realize a lot of the people who were on the ground said it was not any of the protesters who lit cop cars on fire. They don't know who it was, but they were behind the cop lines. Okay, so, what we're going to look at?
Well, what's going on is there is a blockade, or there was a blockade against, or there still is a blockade going on against a drilling company that wants to frack on native land in New Brunswick.
Okay, check it out.
Opposed to shale gas exploration on their traditional hunting ground, people from Elsipogtog First Nation began blocking a highway several weeks ago. Violence erupted when police moved in to enforce a court injunction against the blockade.
They pepper sprayed our women and our elders, and there was a couple that were shot with bean bags.
6 police vehicles were set on fire and 40 arrests were made. Police seized firearms, ammunition, and explosives. First Nations activists are hoping the protests will continue and grow into a nationwide movement.
At the end of the day, people have to stand up for what's important for them, which is the land and the water, to protect their future generations, and that impacts all Canadians, not just First Nations.
That was one of the themes of the Idle No More campaign, which culminated with big peaceful protests in Ottawa last January. Concerns about land, water, and natural resources fueled those rallies. Promises by the Prime Minister and his government to meet regularly with First Nations leaders have yet to be fulfilled. Just a few days ago, the Special United Nations Rapporteur on Indigenous Peoples urged Canada to forge a new collaborative partnership with its First Nations. As the situation in New Brunswick seems to indicate, That's not happening anytime soon. Daniel Lack, Al Jazeera, Toronto.
So all of this is coming out while the world is watching.
Exactly. At the same time this was going on, there was an international protest against fracks all over the world.
Okay, so the world is starting to get wise on what fracking is going on. In the United States, they have over 1 million fracking sites. You can light your well water on fire. Over 7,000 different chemicals are getting dumped into the land underneath in the water table purposefully to free up gas because they're running out of natural gas. What they have to do is start switching to, I don't know,
maybe
alternative, renewable energy. How about the sun? So, you know, while we're live on location, let's talk about this. I love it. You know, guys, give me this thumbs up. That's cool. Okay.
Right, we can now talk to Vanessa Vine. She's an anti-fracking campaigner from Britain Island Frack-Free Group. Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us here on RT. Well, let's take a look at the situation from different angles here. I mean, technically speaking, there are, you know, few problems reported with the leakage, for example, in the U.S. as research shows. So my question here is, I mean, aren't activists blowing the dangers out of proportion here?
Not at all. These are not blown out of proportion. If you look at the list of the harmed from Pennsylvania, there are more than 1,600 families, and these are just the ones who've dared to speak out about the neurological problems, the cancers, the asthma, the livestock deaths, spontaneous abortions in cattle, etc. This is not overblown. This could become one of the biggest environmental movements, if not the biggest environmental movement on the planet. It's not just environmentalists, it's ordinary people all over the planet who can see that this industry is ecocidal and must be stopped. Our politicians, you mentioned David Cameron being evangelical, it's a political mania. Many of our British ministers are personally deeply invested in this industry, and they are lying. They are saying that there's no evidence of contamination and no evidence of harm. There's ample evidence. They're saying it'll bring down energy bills. It will not. Even Bloomberg have said that. They're saying it will be an employment panacea. The employment is short-term, small numbers, moves on, and is very dangerous.
At this point, we have two groups here, you know, environmentalists on the one side and politicians on the other. But how can you reconcile these two groups? I mean, can they meet each other halfway somehow?
No, not if they want to go ahead with the extreme fossil fuel industry. It is unregulatable. The uninvested experts and those who used to be in the industry who have turned and are now whistleblowing are saying this cannot be regulated. It's not environmentalists, it's regular people. It's native people on the ground. It's people in rural Pennsylvania, rural Australia, upper middle class, middle England. It's people across the world, Romania, France, Germany, are saying no because they're looking at the truth, not at what this short-term political ambition.
Okay. All right, that was Vanessa Vine, activist from Frack, Britain and Ireland Frack-Free Group. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us here on RT.
Okay, so there was an injunction on the blockade right now, and there are solutions to what the injunction is.
But a judge saw the will of the people and the rights of the people and upheld them.
Yeah. Amazing. The judiciary stepped in, and it looked like a victory right across the board. However, the oil company is going in and disputing.
Yes,
so,
of course they're appealing.
Of course they're appealing. They're oil guys. They don't have any other brain cells. They say, we're profiting off of this. We're going to keep profiting. So, you be the judge. Let's run. Yes, run
Absolutely.
the clip. Run the clip.
Locals in this remote region of Romania have been saddled with an unwanted guest. US energy giant Chevron is due to begin drilling for shale gas. Many residents here fear that the process of fracking could release chemicals into the soil and contaminate the water.
These locals and environmentalists have been camped out here, braving the elements in order to stand up to US oil giant Chevron and the Romanian government, which has given them the green light to start exploratory drilling in that field over there without any public consultation.
The problem that gives to these people and to real patriots this feeling of puking, because they didn't ask us, they we didn't matter to them.
The sense of betrayal is echoed by most protesters. Chevron were forced to leave the area last week, unable to get past the locals' human chain around the site. But it's only a matter of time before they return. Chevron told RT that they have all the required permits to begin drilling and plan to return to the site and begin fracking safely as soon as they can. Something that's less than reassuring for the growing number of people gathering here. Polly Boyko, RT, Prunjesti, Romania.
So as you can see, there actually are some people's rights being upheld by our own Canadian judiciary, which is a real surprise to me.
One of my favorite parts is the fact that a camera is more dangerous than a gun right now. Okay, it's cameras that are proving how fascist things are.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing about the ubiquitous use of cameras. They're in every device now, and people keep them out there rolling, keep these people on notice that we're watching.
Yeah, never ever stop filming, okay? The most important thing that you can do is an intellect in action. Is keep your camera going, keep those cell phones charged, keep extra memory cards going, because that's what made the difference there, and the whole world is watching. The sun's coming out. This is beautiful, man.
That's great. We live in beautiful BC. And speaking of BC...
And, oh, good segue, man. That was awesome. Okay, speaking
and intellect, and a lack of the one thereof. Our own Premier, Christy Clark, is really promoting the liquid natural gas market.
Yes,
and of course, to get that, we need to frack here in BC.
So, check it out. Just once again, a major politician working for the oil company.
LNG is obviously a huge economic opportunity for British Columbia. British Columbians are also known to be very environmentally minded. And I'm curious, can you explain to us how LNG is extracted? Is fracking the way that it's extracted?
Yes, for the most part. So, we have the best record of fracking in the world. Because our natural gas is very deep. The pipes are encased in concrete. There's never been an example, a reported example of water contamination, for example, from fracking in BC. So it's very safely done. And it allows us to extract much, much more of the resource. We've been doing it for 50 years. We're good at it. And because we can extract more of the resource, we can export it. And that's going to mean 100,000 jobs, $1 trillion in new economic activity. I mean, it really is the biggest economic opportunity our province has had in probably a century.
And so you're going to Washington to try and share this story or to get it out there. What do you want to have come out of this meeting or your series of meetings?
I'm talking to investors about natural gas and the opportunities. So I want to make sure that the American business community understands the scope of this opportunity in British Columbia. Second, I want to talk to policymakers about the fact that British Columbia is playing a really positive role in trying to reduce climate change impacts. So, with natural gas, for example, shipping it to China is going to mean that we are able to help them wean themselves off some very dirty sources of fuel. It's the cleanest fossil fuel on the planet.
So these guys, I mean, Harper works for the oil companies, Christy Clark's working for the oil companies?
Well, there must be some campaign contributions going on or something, under the table deals, who knows?
Say it's not so.
Well, corruption in politics, no, that never happens.
So remember to hold your politicians accountable. The only way that democracy works is when guys like us are reporting the real news.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you have energy companies getting involved with even municipal politicians.
It's happening. I mean, it's not like, I don't know, Fortis has one of our municipal politicians under its thumb, is it? Walter Gray, our mayor?
I don't know. It just might be a coincidence that, he's working really hard on selling our municipal power to Fortis, but that could just be a coincidence.
Do your research on this one. I am Darren Howard.
And I am Robert Nisbet.
Remember, we've got the Municipal Sustainability Project on right now that can phase out all this oil-based nonsense power and get us on a sustainable basis in the municipality. So, make sure you stay tuned. We've got some stuff coming up. Yeah.
We're going to be talking about financial follies.
Yes, indeed. Financial follies time. Thanks for tuning in. This is Radio Free Canada.